Great, that's better. Okay, so just give me 1 second to set up, and I don't necessarily expect anyone to be watching because this is a very unannounced impromptu live, but I hope that when this is uploaded to the channel later, then maybe you can take a look. So anyway, my dear friends, let me say that this is Daisuke, so greetings from Tokyo, and I hope that this impromptu, unannounced live stream finds you well. And this is unannounced because it wasn't planned, but I thought it was only fitting to have a live stream announcement. It's going to be very brief because it's very late here in Tokyo where I am, and I have to go to sleep very soon. But I wanted to take the opportunity live to just talk to you about the plans on this channel with respect to what James Bond film we will be talking about in a film club live stream this month, later this month in May. And by my count, I think that means it will be Saturday, May 16th, 2020 at 11 p.m. Tokyo time. So the film, the James Bond film that we will be talking about during that live stream. Now, there are, it's actually there are two things I want to announce actually. So the first thing is, now, as you may know, I asked for comments from viewers, from friends, asking you for your favorite James Bond film or what James Bond film you wanted to talk about. And so I made the video and I uploaded it, and I said, please leave your comment and ask and tell me which film you want to discuss in a live stream and why. And the point of that was that up to now, I've usually been trying to decide a film club, not all of them, but for a number of them, I've usually been trying to decide a film club live stream film based off of a viewer poll conducted through the YouTube software. And so the YouTube software was such that you could only have, I think, 5 selections maximum for each of those polls, which is found on the community tab. It's a great piece of software. I think it's really reliable. It's very easy to use from my point of view. But you know, I thought this time, because of the largeness of the James Bond film series as a whole, and I thought also because of the fact that I think many people have different films in the series that they like or they prefer, I thought that this time around we could try something different, which was to have the comments dictate which films to choose. And in other words, it wouldn't necessarily be the film that got the most mentions. It wouldn't necessarily be the film that got the most votes, but rather it would be the film that had the most persuasive, convincing comment that was associated with it. And so that's why I was really reading the comments very carefully and over again in order to try to get how should I put it? Try to get a sense as to what films were worth, what films you wanted to talk about. Let me put it that way. And so I looked at the video comments and read them over and over again a number of occasions, and I thought that they were really all quite excellent. And so I was kind of stuck, and I thought, what am I going to do? Because there are so many films that I think are really given a lot of convincing arguments and comments, and so I wasn't. I was sort of stuck. And but let me just give you some examples of what I thought were really great. Well, actually, the examples, let me get to that in the second part of this. And I'll get to that in a second. So as I said, there are two announcements here. So the first announcement is, so what film will be discussed on that Saturday, May 16th, I think. And so, as I say, the film would be decided based off of what I thought was probably the most convincing comment. And there were many convincing comments, and I thought they were all quite excellent. But I must say that there was one in particular that was very, very convincing from my point of view. And it was, I think this is the one that really, I think, convinced me to choose the film. And so, how shall I say this? So, well, let me just show you what the comment is. So, the comment was left behind. It was a public comment, and it was left behind by our dear friend, All Things Film, a wonderful channel. So, All Things Film, and All Things Film left behind this comment, which was, "I'd like to hear people talk about On Her Majesty's Secret Service. It's one Bond film I don't like because of Lazenby. I can't enjoy the story, the action, any of the other performances. I can't enjoy anything in that film because I can't get past the wooden performance, in my opinion, from George Lazenby, and I'd like to get some insight, if possible, as to how I can get past that, or get him and his Bond a little more." And I thought this was a really great comment. I thought it was a really well worded one. I thought it was very polite. It was very respectful in tone, and it was very honest and sincere in terms of what he felt about this particular film. And so, with that, I thought, what the heck? This is, I think, a great one to go with. And so it's the film that is directed by the director whose name, I guess, kind of rhymes with the character Irma Bunt, Peter Hunt. This is the film, which is my older DVD, and it's the film On Her Majesty's Secret Service. So this is the film I'd like to talk about at the live stream later this month, and I'll make the schedule accordingly. And so I want to thank all of you for your great comments about this. But let's talk about this one, On Her Majesty's Secret Service. So this will be, I think, a week from this Saturday. So if you're interested, please stop by and we can talk about this On Her Majesty's Secret Service. So thank you very much to All Things Film for providing me with this great comment and convincing me that this is the film to go with. Now, let me say this as well, which is that, as I say, I also received a great number of other wonderful comments on that same video comment section. And I received so many in fact. And let's see here. Let's see if I can arrange this in a way that's, let me just take the computer off the desk. That's probably better. And so we'll just put this here and we'll go with this. So, and I received a lot of other great comments, which was, what was it? About what James Bond film to discuss in a live stream. And let me just give you some examples of what I received. So I mentioned All Things Film, our dear friend All Things Film, and On Her Majesty's Secret Service, but I received so many others. And again, they are found on the comment section to that particular video, where I asked, what's the name of the video? It was called Film Club for May. What James Bond film do you want to talk about and why, in all caps? And so in that comment section, there were many comments mentioning many different films. Just give you, again, I recommend that you take a look at the comment section directly and look at the comments yourself, because I think they're really wonderful. And let me just mention, again, I can't read them all, but just to give a few examples. For example, Marvel Fan 45 says, I would say Moonraker, but you would have to watch more Bond. Most people don't like it, but the camp of the movie and the insanity of the movie, it's probably my personal favorite Bond film, which I think is an interesting comment. And just scrolling down here some more. Let's see. Eddie Green's 101 says, I'm biased, but GoldenEye, that Nintendo 64 game alone made it and kept it as my favorite Bond film. That's a very interesting point. And Theodore Karamanolis, our dear friend, has a really wonderful long comment. It's really great. But just for the interest of time, let me mention the second part of it, which is the one approach I would definitely go for, though, is through Casino Royale, the 2006 one, obviously, as the seminal moment in studio cinema, an exemplary reboot based on a study of the hero's cinematic past and the fan culture surrounding it. Informed by contemporary filmmaking, a tired franchise rose in an instant from its ashes and reintroduced the same characterology, decisively shaken, not stirred, as its recent predecessors. Very interesting way of putting it. So there's it. Also, Shanto Silversmith says, License to Kill. It's like a Brian De Palma 007 movie with by far the best theme song from Gladys Knight and the coolest name for a Bond film. I thought was really interesting way to put it. And let's see here, just scrolling down. Culture Dog, our dear friend Culture Dog, has a really great comment here. So just to quote from it, I'm always game for a James Bond event. I'm naturally inclined to suggest powerhouses such as On Her Majesty's Secret Service, Casino Royale, From Russia with Love, or Goldfinger. However, I nominate The Living Daylights, primarily because of how underrated the Dalton films are, but even more so because of how criminally under-discussed they are in spite of their growing reputation. It's a personal favorite anyhow, from the score to Mariam Dabo's enchanting Kara, not to mention the incredibly early scene in Bratislava, which felt ripped from the pages of Fleming. Plus, it feels ahead of its time in terms of showcasing a harder-edged Bond nearly 2 decades before Daniel Craig made it popular. It's very well put, Culture Dog, very well put. You have a really wonderful way with words. Your film knowledge and passion and incredible way with words form an unbeatable combination, as always. Really well said. And again, just scrolling down here, so many to mention here. Let's see. Wolfgrat says, I think From Russia with Love is the perfect, excuse me, let me start again. I think From Russia with Love is the movie that set the template for the best Bond, had the most interesting villains, and one of the most successful assistants in Pedro Almendarez's Karim Bey, etc. And let's see here. Oh, John Adair says, Goldfinger, it's the perfect Bond movie, but I have a soft spot for Moonraker because it's so over the top and camp. The title song is fantastic, the set pieces, especially in Brazil on Sugarloaf, and of course, Jaws and the battle in space to cash in on the Star Wars hype at the time. That's really great, interesting. And just again, going through this here, there are so many here, so once again, I encourage you to look at that comment section to see what everyone is saying. Let's see here. Just keep going here. Oh, damn fool idealistic crusader, our dear friend says, I could say, and well, actually, let me just go to the middle part of here, which is The Living Daylights is the most underrated. The first 3 are the most important and iconic. On Her Majesty's Secret Service has had a complete reappraisal over time, which is great. Or we could discuss Die Another Day, which is not quite as bad as the internet makes it out to be, but is still the worst of the original 20. Or discuss the unofficial 1967 Casino Royale, which is amazing. And there was also some really great ones here. Ryan Harding says, I would enjoy your perspective of You Only Live Twice. And Firstly, the Bond franchise was already a phenomenon all over the world by the mid-1960s, and I'm curious to see how it was generally perceived in 1960s Japan, especially after You Only Live Twice was filmed there. Interesting. And this is also echoed by Erwin Tickler, who says, there are so many obvious choices in the franchise that have been talked about to death, and so I would like to suggest You Only Live Twice. Also because you may have some very personal cultural views on that film and how people, perhaps incredibly outdated it is. That's a really interesting way of putting it. And then if I could say, Will Rem says, Daisuke, I would like to see you discuss Diamonds Are Forever. This is an incredibly rich mine for discussion. It's an unusual film, full of misguided course correction with plenty to love. As a look into the behind-the-scenes struggles of maintaining the franchise, it's hard to find a better discussion topic than this film, etc. And so there are many other comments on that video which I would strongly suggest you take a look at. And you don't have to play the video. You can just go there and just scroll down the comment section, see what other people have to say, which is really great. And so I think what this means is we can't just end at one, can we? Because there are, as many of you have mentioned, there are so many to choose from. And as great as On Her Majesty's Secret Service is, and I really believe it's brilliant, it really is a sort of one-of-a-kind work in the whole series. I think it really stands out in many ways, and I can't wait to be able to talk a little bit about it in the live stream. But it is, I admit still, just one of many, many films. And so what does that mean? So, I have spoken a little bit on this channel about James Bond films. I think one of the first videos I ever uploaded on this channel was me just sitting in, this room from a different angle, just showing all the DVDs I had at the time, one of which being this one right here. And so, but it was always it was always something that I had in mind, which was just to go through each of the films one at a time in a video or something like that. But I never really got around to it because I thought it was such a huge undertaking, and also because it had always been done before by people who are much smarter than I, much more insightful than I, and much more detailed than I. And so I never really gave too much serious thought about it. But I was reading these comments, and I must admit I was very, very impressed, and I was very inspired, and I was very moved. I was very moved by the reaction and reception. And so I thought, what the heck, right? What the heck? You only live once, or well, maybe we should say you only live twice. And twice is the only way to live. And so, based on that adage, I would like to suggest that we don't stop here at On Her Majesty's Secret Service, but in fact, let us do a live stream for as many Bond films as we can do. So that's what I suggest. That's the second part. That's the second announcement here, which is I'm game if you are. If you want to do live streams for as many of the Bond films, hopefully all of the Bond films, then let's do that. And it'll be kind of a it's a little bit of an intimidating thing on the one hand, because these live streams, I do admit, they do take a certain amount of energy and preparation on my part. They're a lot of fun, don't get me wrong, but they do take a little bit of energy out of me. And so I'm going to have to ask a big favor from you, which is, I'm going to have to ask for your support and your insights with this particular sort of what do you call it? This particular, I guess, endeavor. And so, and I don't know what the schedule is going to be yet, but I'm envisioning in my head, let's do a live stream for each of the films, and if we let's go as many as we can. Let's just do it, and let's see how far we can take this. But it does take a lot of energy on my part because I'm not getting any younger, and these live streams, I do feel the it's also I do it late at night, and I have to do a little bit of preparation for it, and so it does take a little bit of energy out of me. And so I'm going to have to rely upon you and your support and your insights and your contributions. And so if I can rely on you, my dear friends, for that, then I am game. I am game if you are. And so we can just proceed forward as many films as we can. Now, I should also mention that my thinking is that on the one hand, of course, it would be, I think, very a good idea to go in chronological order of the film's releases. But then I thought at the same time, I'm not sure how far I can really take this. Of course, ideally, the goal would be to do everything, including Never Say Never Again, and including 1967's Casino Royale, by the way. I consider those films to be each in their own respective ways. I think they're very, very interesting, and they're definitely worth a discussion, 2-hour plus discussion live stream, hopefully more. So I'm definitely considering those as well. But I don't know exactly how far I can take it. I'll do the best I can, of course, but with the goal of doing everything. But in the off chance that I am, for example, unable to go through the entire thing, let's say it's probably easier for me, therefore, to sort of look at this particular project and go out of sequence, starting with On Her Majesty's Secret Service. And so that's, I would ask for your understanding with that as well. I know some people might think, oh no, the only way to do it is through chronological order. And I get that, I completely get that. But at the same time, as I say, I'm not getting any younger, and these live streams do take a little bit out of me, and they are late, and so I do need a little bit of a, how should I say, a little bit of a sort of from my point of view, it's also a way to keep things a little bit fresh and lively. The films themselves take care of that, of course, but just to keep things interesting, perhaps, to shake things up. I think out of sequence is probably for me the best way to do this, and so let's do that, starting with On Her Majesty's Secret Service. And then the other thing is that this is going to be there's the Film Club live stream stuff that is going on, that's been going on in this channel for a number of months, a long time, in fact, and it's really, I'm very, very proud of it. I'm very pleased with how it's turned out so far, and I'm looking forward to the things that are going to be coming up later. And so I want to keep this as it is. In other words, I want the Film Club live stream stuff to remain pretty much as it is. And so we're going to do On Her Majesty's Secret Service in a couple Saturdays from now. But after that, what I suggest is let's take the Bond film discussion and let's make it its own little schedule. And so, in other words, I want to keep the Film Club live stream pretty much intact. Now it's Saturday night at Tokyo time, 11 p.m. That's the schedule. I think every Saturday, or I might do every 2 weeks on that Saturday or something like that. But I want to keep that as it is, and I want to keep those films ongoing, usually using polls or something, maybe Criterion titles, maybe something else. But I want to keep that intact, which means that for the Bond films, we're going to do a separate schedule. And I'll have to pick another day out of the week and do that, but I think it's worth it. And so if that's okay with you, and again, if you're game, then so am I. So that's what I'm thinking right now, which is we'll have two things going pretty much at the same time. The Film Club live stream schedule will be as it is, and then the Bond film live streams, I don't know what the name of it is, but it'll be like that. It'll be something that is just on its own. And I don't know how big I'll mention it, try to publicize it or something. Maybe I'll just leave it as it is, maybe not publicize it. It'll be kind of its own little thing. So if you know about it, you can check it out. But if I think live streams, of course, it's always good for, what do you call it, YouTube ratings. I think YouTube ratings or views. I think that's one aspect of YouTube that is, of course, very critical and very important for a lot of reasons. But I also must say that having small numbers in terms of live streams can also be very beneficial, and it has a nice, intimate atmosphere. So I don't mind it either way, and so I don't necessarily. I haven't figured out all the details, but whatever the situation may be, if it's a larger audience, if it's a smaller audience, I think we can still manage it. But in any event, I'd like to keep this its own new separate track of scheduling, and so I want to keep the film club live stream as it is, and then also have the Bond film discussions have it be its own thing. Okay, and then hopefully that won't necessarily interrupt the flow of other projects that I have in mind that are currently ongoing at the moment, for example, and so in video form on this channel. So there's going to be a lot of stuff going on, and so that might mean also that it's going to be something that, again, will take a lot of energy out of me. But I'm going to be, therefore, extra reliant on you, my dear friends, for your sort of energy and that sort of thing. So if that's okay with you, then we can proceed forward with this. So I think, yes, I think that's what I'd like to do. And so, and also the order of films, I haven't quite decided yet. I don't know, maybe we'll just do something as simple as really using a hat, an actual hat, and then writing all the names of the films down on separate pieces of paper and then picking them out. And that'll be the film for the next week or something like that. And so we can go from there. And let's see, is there anything else? I'm sure there are many other things that I have neglected to say now, but if I do think of anything, I'll try to mention it later on this channel. Again, it's still a very informal thing. It's not meant to be anything that is... it's also, I totally get also that... I think I alluded to this earlier, which is I totally get also that many other channels do this. I know many other websites do this. I know many other podcasts talk about the Bond films. And so this isn't anything new. I completely get that. And I also anticipate that there might be, there are certain, how should I put it? I understand also that there are certain maybe issues or certain topics that are relevant for each Bond film, and I get that. And I also get that I won't necessarily be adding anything new to the conversations that have already been had for years up to now by many other people who are much smarter than I and much more insightful than I could ever hope to be. But the live streams have always been just essentially me talking and listening to you and reading your comments in live stream or in the live chat, and then just riffing off of those and trying to build a discussion from there. And so that's the spirit of what I'm intending to do. So nothing new or nothing that we haven't done already on this channel. So that is a kind of that's the situation that I'm thinking of right now. So and as far as the scheduling is concerned, that is something also that I haven't yet determined. Again, ideally it would be one a day, but I can't do that. I don't have the stamina for that. But I could do. I'm thinking maybe once a week, maybe twice a week, if it's possible. And so that should give enough time. But again, like with a lot of things, there isn't any specific need to rush I know that there's the new film that's coming out in theaters, and I know that there are some issues as far as its actual release date, given this current world situation. But I don't have any need to try to tie it in necessarily to the new film, and so we can go at a good comfortable pace. What's the phrase? Well, to borrow a phrase from this particular film, there's no hurry to see. There's no hurry, you see, because we have all the time in the world. And so I think with that, let's try to go at a nice, comfortable pace. We'll try to make sure to cover as many films as possible, but let's just go at a comfortable pace. We don't have to overwork ourselves. If we don't have, this is not a job or anything like that. This is just for fun, and this is just because we want to share our own, everyone's thoughts about how much we really like these films, or maybe we like other films more than these, etc. So let's just go with that, and we can go from there. Also, I do want to say that, oh gosh. Well, I was going to say something, but it's just slipped my mind, and perhaps because of the lateness of the hour here, because it is almost 2:30 a.m. and I must wake up early tomorrow. But I was so excited about this because, I was going to make a video, but I thought it'd probably be more fitting to do this live. So, and so yes, I will be letting you know with updates later on as to exactly how I'll actually plan this out. But this is going to be hopefully very exciting. Once again, I do want to say that this is something that I was thinking about. I have been thinking about for some time, but I was never really serious about it. But I suppose I don't know. I was very touched with all the comments that I received. Showing your enthusiasm for these films, but also I was I was sort of taken with this current. Let me take that back. I was just considering this current situation that we find ourselves in. The world is still gripped in this particular crisis, and we see things improve. We see things hopefully will lead to a sunny outcome, and of course we hope that will happen quickly and swiftly, of course. But during this time, our lifestyles have changed. Of course, people's health and well-being have been put to the test. For many, of course, there have been direct risks made with respect to health and well-being, of course, and it's a very serious situation. Of course, you don't need me to tell you that, right? But with this, I think it has also brought a lot of changes in lifestyle. Some may be hopefully temporary, but others may be more permanent than one might realize at the moment. And so therefore there's been a lot of time that I've been spending indoors, and also the idea is just kind of reflection or self-reflection of things and what I've been doing here, and what it is I want to do but never got around to, and all this stuff. And this goes for everything, not just YouTube, but for many other things, of course. But if I were to speak in context of YouTube in this channel, one of the things I thought was, it's right. Time is precious, very, very precious, and it should be spent in the way that one wants to spend it. And I thought, thus, why not go for it? And let's just do this thing which is these live streams for these Bond films. I thought this is going to be fun, and it's something that I've always thought of doing, but I think now is a good opportunity to just give it a try. So with that kind of spirit, and if it is okay with you, and if I can rely upon you for your support and your insights. Really, I really mean this. I'm really going to need your help because I'm gonna I know along the way I'm gonna feel a little bit of fatigue setting in, and so I'm really going to have to rely upon you for just to support this little side project and to just keep it alive and keep it moving, and right. So and if I can rely upon that support from you and your friendship, then as I say, I am very happy and willing to go forward with this. So let us do that. So let's see how this works. Who knows? When I talk about this film, whatever it is, 2 Saturdays from now, my discussion might end up being a complete disaster. Right? It could just completely I could have, what is it, egg on my face or something like that, and so it could just be a complete disaster, and maybe that would be the first and only James Bond film discussion on this channel. I mean, that could happen. Really, it really could happen, and so my comments could be very stale, and they could be very overcooked or overbaked or something like that, and so that could happen. And if that's the case, then this project will probably just go down the tubes. So let's see how it works out, and let's see how this first discussion will work out. And if it works out for the best, then let's move forward. And then at the end of that, maybe I'll try to pick something out of a hat, and we can go from there, including, my friends, the Casino Royale film from 1967 and Never Say Never Again. They have their place, and a very, I think they have a well-deserving place for discussion. They are very different, of course, I get that, I totally get that, but they have their place, and they are well worth talking about. We don't have to like all of the James Bond films. I don't like all the James Bond films, and I will let you know when we get to those films, but I'll try to be as earnest and as open-minded as possible. And even with the films that I like, there are aspects of them that I don't like, and so I'll try to let you know of those as we go through this. That's with that spirit, I'd like to also invite comment with respect to Never Say Never Again and the 67 version of Casino Royale, because they certainly have their place, and I don't want to deny them that. So yeah, I do want. That's my thinking. Is let's talk about those films as well. I had a grand ambition. Maybe we could also talk about the Fleming novels as well, because I've read those many times, and I've never spoken about books here on this channel. I must admit I haven't quite decided yet, but if it's possible also, again, I can't make any decisions about it yet now, but a Fleming novel as well for a live stream would be really interesting. I mean, I have many. There's novels. I mean, they're for the most part, I think they're very interesting to talk about. There are issues with some of the novels, and many of them, in fact, in terms of contemporary audiences and how they react to some of the way that certain scenarios are played out, certain characterizations are made, etc. And I totally get that as well. And so, I think they're well worth talking about. I don't know if I can fit it in terms of a discussion. For instance, I don't think there's enough time for me to talk about both the novel and the film on Her Majesty's Secret Service. It's just impossible. I need more time, and so I can't do that. But I could talk about the novel separately. But then again, that I'm not sure if I'm not sure exactly how we would do that and how workable that is. But if it's possible, just know that I'm trying to. I'll try to keep that in mind, and so if you're interested, we will. I'll certainly consider that. So, with that in mind, let us just proceed through this, and then we can just go from there, and and then that can be something that again we can just try to work out along the way, and just see where it leads us. So anyway, my friends, I think that is all I want to say right now. Again, I see many people in the live chat, so I'm very happy to see people there. So it's really great. Thank you very much, and wonderful. So let us. I'll see you at the what is it? 2 Saturdays from now with On Her Majesty's Secret Service, and I will make further announcements along the way, or maybe at the live stream itself, just to give you more information in case you are interested. Again, just to see where we can take this as far as we can. And once again, I can't promise that we can go to the end, but let's just give it our best go and see where it takes us. And so let us do that. And I see a number of great comments in the live chat. Let's see. Yes. So already, yes. Oh, it's great. Che Guevara 9, thank you. Hello, good sir. You sure are staying up late? Yes, I am, and I must go to sleep soon. Oh, that's interesting. JCU Dell 32 says, "Hey Daisuke, I don't recommend binge watching the series. I did it once. It was a workout." Yeah, I wouldn't be binge watching the series. I've already seen the films a number of times, so I'm not going to be binge watching. But I do understand what you mean when you say that. So, well, thank you very much. Oh, well, so many people are here. Great, thank you. Wonderful to see you all. I'd love to. Oh gosh, I'd love to stay in chat, but I really must go to sleep. So I have to wake up early tomorrow, or early. I have to wake up early later today. So it's now 2:30, and I have to wake up in about a few hours. So please, yeah. So I'm sorry if I didn't get a chance to talk to you more directly in the live chat, but I hope you can understand. And with that, my friends, so thank you very much, and I will see you. When will I see you? Oh yes, there's the live. Yeah, oh gosh. Okay, there's this Saturday, which is the first of the Before trilogy, and then then the Saturday after that will be On Her Majesty's Secret Service. So again, I'll make the schedule. Check out the community tab here, and we will go from there. But again, thank you very much. And now with that, I will go to sleep. So thank you, and yes, talk to you soon. Oh, and also, please let your friends know about this. Anyone who's interested in the James Bond films. I know this was an impromptu announcement, and so I don't know how many people will see this. So if you know anyone who is a James Bond film fan and who might be interested in a live stream chat and the opportunity to have the chat open for comments on the films, please let them know, and it'll be my pleasure to interact with the people and to hear what it is that you and everyone else has to say. It's always my pleasure, and I look forward to continuing that further. So once again, thank you very much, my friends, and take good care of yourselves. Stay safe. That's the most important thing. And cheers. Thank you very much. Okay, so let's see. All right. Okay, so thank you very much again. And so this is gonna be an interesting year. So it's already an interesting year, but let's make it even more interesting. And yeah, it's gonna be this is gonna be an interesting project, but I'm looking forward to it already. So yeah, On Her Majesty's Secret Service is gonna be that's a really interesting film. Can't wait to talk to you about it, and more importantly, I can't wait to hear what it is you have to say about it, my friends. So can't wait. So anyway, my friends, thank you so much. Sorry for taking up your time with this unannounced announcement, and I will see you soon. Cheers.